Alright gang, welcome to a screencast that's going to walk you through required exercise 2 in OnShape. So thus far I have linked out to the provided link and it takes me to an OnShape document. Remember, a document is what we call kind of everything that we see on our screen right here, and the document can have multiple tabs in it. Right now I'm on the first tab. Down here it says tutorial. This is where there's a video tutorial provided from the OnShape company. You come up here and you click play and it's going to walk you through a 5.5 minute tutorial of the same part I'm about to walk you through. The thing is, this tutorial goes a little bit fast. The OnShape video goes a little bit fast. It's a little more geared towards people that have had some experience in CAD programs before. So feel free to watch that one if you would like, but I'm going to do the same thing. It's going to be a little bit longer, but I'm going to explain a few steps along the way and a few little hints that I find helpful. So feel free to use this tutorial page in that video. Feel free also to reference this next tab. This is the part that we are trying to make. But if you want to get going in your part, you click on the Part Studio tab, and then you are greeted with just a blank drawing screen in this OnShape document. Now, yours might look a little bit different at first. You might not see all these different tools up here that you can use to draw. That's because when it's first shared with you, you don't own the document. You make a copy of it. To make a copy of the document, there's three little bars up here. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to say Copy Workspace. And then up here, it'll say Required Exercise 2. It'll say the word copy. It's good for you to put your name in there. So you can see I've already actually done that. Mine says Cole Smith Screencast on there. So when you've made a copy of that, all those tools should show up and you can now start drawing. Hey, actually, one quick thing to do before you start drawing, share the document with me. So up here, the Share tab, just type my email in there and hit Share. That way I have access to your OnShape document and I can get in there and help you out if something's going wrong. I can show you how to do some things. So I have renamed it and I have shared it. Now I can actually do some drawing. Alright, OnShape to me has kind of a busy screen, especially when you're a new user. I like to simplify it a little bit. There's these three planes, these three squares here that represent the top plane, the right plane, and the front plane. At first it seems like there's a little too much going on there, so I'm going to turn them off. Over here on the left hand side, this is your features bar. It's where all the features of your drawing are. All the different components of your drawing are going to show up here. And right now it says top, front, right. There's a little eyeball there. I am going to click on the little eyeball and that hides it. So I'm going to hide the top plane. I'm going to hide the right plane. And I'm going to leave the front plane on there for right now because that's going to be my drawing surface. I'm going to make my first sketch on the front plane. But right now I'm looking at it from an angle. That's not a good thing. We want to be looking at it straight on. There's a couple ways to do it. I like to use the view cube up here. I'm just click on front and the view cube shifts, and now I'm looking at the front drawing plane, kind of like I have a piece of paper on my desk. And I'm ready to start sketching out this part. To start sketching, I will hit the sketch button. Now it pops up and says select a sketch plane. I'm going to click on the front plane. And now I have a little box, a little rectangle that says sketch 1. Hey, I'm going to keep my screen nice and clean, and now since I have this other little box that says sketch 1, I'm going to turn off the front sketch plane. Just so it just looks nice and clean, a little easier to work with. Alright, now my toolbar has changed up here. Since I'm in a sketch, I have all the sketching tools, which are mainly line drawing tools, lines and arcs. I am going to start by sketching out this rectangle. Actually, real quick, let me show you on the example part. I come over and click on sketch 1 and click front. This is what I'm going to try drawing, right? This is like a two-dimensional part, or representation of that three-dimensional part we're trying to get to. So I got to draw a couple of rectangles, one down there, one down there. I got to draw kind of a big arc that's coming up, and then there's another piece here. This is called a spline. So this is what I'm trying to draw and get it all those dimensions just right. I know it looks a little busy here, but we'll just do it step by step. Stick with me. Right, so back into my sketch. I'm going to come up here. I'm going to launch the rectangle command. There's a couple ways you can draw rectangles too. I'm going to do this first one as a center point rectangle. So when I click on, get that origin showing up again. There's another thing I think I accidentally turned off called the origin. Turn it back on. It's just a little dot there at the origin point where x, y, and z equals 0, 0, 0. Kind of a nice place to start your drawing. So I got my rectangle command selected. It's a center rectangle, meaning when I click on this this point, it happens to be the origin point, and I pull, I'm kind of pulling out from the center of the rectangle. And I don't really care about these exact dimensions right now. I just know it was kind of a long, skinny rectangle. There we go. That looks good. I'm still in my rectangle command, and just to show you the slight difference between how you draw a corner rectangle and a center rectangle, if I come up here now and click and pull out, I'm kind of pulling from the corner. And I think that sketch had another little rectangle kind of up like that. Okay, cool. Now I'm going to draw a couple lines. So I'm going to launch the line command. I'm going to draw straight up from this corner point. I got to connect these two rectangles. And I'm going to kind of come straight up until I'm about equal with the bottom of it. And I'm going to click. Now I'm still in line drawing mode. Everywhere I go, I'm still trying to draw lines. So to stop drawing lines, you hit the escape key. Now I want to kind of arc up into this. I'm going to arc up into it using the arc command. There are a few different ways you can draw arcs. I'm going to do a tangent arc. It's going to give me a nice little hook going in there. So tangent arc. I'm going to click from that piece, or that point, and over. I'm going to pull it kind of straight like that. And now I'm done drawing arcs. I'm going to go grab the line command, and I am going to start from the point of my arc, and I'm going to drag it out, and I want to get it into the halfway point of this circle, at least at the halfway point. So I'm going to pull it out, kind of. Actually, that's the best way to get it halfway. I came down and kind of touched the midpoint of that line, and then drug it straight up. So there we go. I'm done drawing lines, so I'll hit escape. Now I want to make sure that these lines are coming straight across. I want to make sure that this arc is nice and curved just right. So let's put some constraints on this. The constraint's going to force it to be a certain way. I'm going to click on my line, and I want this to be completely horizontal. Now, I think it actually already is. I think when I drew it, it kind of snapped to being horizontal, but just to make sure, I'm going to have it selected. I'm going to come up to the constraint tools. I'm going to click horizontal. No, cool, so it made it perfectly straight. Probably already was. But I don't think that this line is completely tangent with this arc. It looks like there's a little dip there. So I'm going to select this line and this arc, and then there is a tangent tool up here. There you go, you see it. It's a tangent where it's mathematically touching in just this one point. And when I click it, there's a little shift there, right? You saw a little bit. Okay, so that is a good start. Now let's get some numbers on this thing. Let's dimension. So I'm gonna grab my dimension tool, which is kind of up here in the middle of my toolbar. It's a little arrow between two lines. I'm gonna click on that one. I'm gonna start by clicking down on this bottom guy, and I pull out, and when I click again, I get a little text box where I can type in a number, and that's going to be 3.25. Notice how when that one shifted, everything else kind of shifted in relation to it. That's a really cool feature in OnShape. Alright, let me dimension the side. I can tell I'm still in the dimension tool because it's still lit up blue, so I can just keep on cranking out these dimensions. I'm going to click and pull out and click again there, and that's going to be 0.75. And now I'm going to keep going. I'm going to set the distance between these two rectangles by clicking on this point. And then I want to take like the middle of this guy. And I want the middle point and the side point to be 1.75. 1.75. Alright, you can see how it's all shifting around. I also want the radius of this arc to be a little different. It's a little tight right now, so I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to pull out, and click again, and instead of a radius of 0.2, I'm going to do a 0.625. Alright, getting better there. Now I need to dimension the height of these things, so I'm going to click on the bottom of this point, I'm going to click on the top of this point, and I want this to be 3 inches. And just for fun here, I want to dimension the bottom of this and the bottom of my curve. Click there, move this guy over, and that's supposed to be 2.063. All right. Oh, you know, one thing I forgot to do was dimension my top box there. So I'm going to do that one. I'm going to bring this up. The top of that, or the width of that is going to be 2. And then the height of that is going to be 1.125. There we go. All right, I think I have all of my dimensions on here just right. Okay, cool. All right, so now I have my 2 boxes. I got my line coming. My next move is I want to take this from being a line to being something that has some width, and I'm going to do that by using the offset command. So offset is right up there. You can see there's 2 lines that are kind of running side by side right next to each other. That's an offset. So I am going to select this line. Oops, I'm still on my dimension tool. I'm going to select this line, this arc, this line, and then I'm going to go up to my offset command, and this thing pops up. There's kind of an arrow going on either side of it. I want to bring that arrow over to the side I want and pull it up, and then when I click, I get my text box, and I can make that a 0.75 offset. All right, man. Hey, this is looking pretty darn good. There's just 2 more lines that I want to draw. I want to draw a line that goes through the middle of this box up there. That's going to be useful later on when I revolve this object. That's going to be my axis for revolving. So just trust me on this one for right now. Draw that little center line because we want to have a good axis to revolve. I'm going to hit escape. All right, now here's kind of a fun one. This one's called a spline. So it's a little wavy line up here, 3 little dots. When I click on it, it's going to look like I'm just drawing a regular line. I'm going to draw a line from this point up to that point there. But you can see when I start moving around, it kind of is flexing on me. It's getting a little weird. It's because it's a spline and not a line. But I don't want to keep clicking now. I just wanted to make that one point, that one point-to-point line. I'm going to hit escape. So it goes back to looking kind of like just a regular line. But notice there's these 2 little white circles. These are little handlebars, we call them. See if I can get them. Oops, I'm still in my spline tool, so I've drawn another spline there. Let me get rid of that. So now I'm not in my spline tool anymore. It's not lit up blue. So now when I click on this guy, there we go, sorry. I was clicking and letting go. I got to click and hold on. Now I can grab this handlebar and I can kind of move my spline around. I just want to get a little curve on there. So I'm going to pull that one up. I'm going to pull this one up until it's kind of smoothed out up top there. Okay, cool. That looks good. I like it. Just for comparison, let me come back to this other tab and you can see it is pretty darn exactly the same. So I like what it looks like. I'm going to hit the little check mark. That's going to close my sketch. And now I have this 2-dimensional drawing. If I orbit around a little bit using my mouse, using the right key on my mouse, you can see I have kind of just like a flat piece of paper. I got a little sketch there. Cool. All right, now let's make it 3D. Let me get back to staring at it straight from the front by clicking on the view cube. And now I got to take these flat parts and I need to make them 3-dimensional. There's a couple ways you can do it. We're going to extrude most of it, but then we're also going to revolve in one spot. So the extrude tool is up here. You click on it. And notice there's a new component here, a new feature in my feature bar, extrude number 1. It says the faces and sketches of and sketch regions to extrude. I'm going to click first on this bottom part, kind of my base, and click on it. Notice it changes color. And up here I have a couple options. You can do a blind extrude, which means it kind of pushes it out from one direction. Or you can do a symmetric extrude. That's what I want to do right now. It's going to do symmetric. And that just means it's going to take my sketch plane and it will push out in symmetric fashion from that point. Alright, and this bottom one is going to be the big one. It's kind of the base of the part. It's going to be 5 inches. So 5. Alright. Can't really tell anything's changed. Click on my view cube here though, and there we go. So I look at it from an angle, I can see that it has pulled out. Alright, I gotta do a few more extrudes, but I'm done with this one, so I'm gonna hit the green check mark. And don't worry, my sketch disappeared. It'll come back in just a second when I say extrude again. And I guess I do have to turn up. Somehow my sketch got hidden. I got to turn my sketch back on. Now you can go extrude straight from this angle. You got to be a little careful though, because I'm not looking at it straight from the front. It's a little easier to get. You can click on the wrong thing a little bit easier. So if you want to make sure, go back to your front view. And now I'm going to hover over the big kind of shark fin looking one and click. And again, it will be a symmetric. And this one is going to be a 0.625. And check it in. Look at it. Alright, it's looking good. Click on the front to go back. I'm going to hit extrude again. I'm going to select that one. I'm going to do symmetric. This number is 2 inches. Check it in. Check it. Looking good so far. And actually, you know what? This front little rectangle was supposed to be part of that 2-incher too. So I'm just gonna add another one. That won't hurt anything. Click there. Symmetrical. 2 inches. Because I could have gone in and edited. Modified the third extrude, but this works too. Okay, now I'm just going to revolve this front part, and then I'm pretty darn close to done. So right next to the extrude command is the revolve command. I'm going to select the face to revolve. I want it to be this one in front here. And then I need to select the axis to revolve. I'm going to click on the little red axis thing. There. Go look at it from the side. And there we go. That's looking really good. I'm going to check mark that revolve so that it checks in there. And I think it looks good. Let me compare. I might have one little screw up. Look at theirs. Nope, it's looking pretty good. Just like that part, in fact. Except there is one little spot here we're going to fill it in. So let me go back to my part. You can see I'm looking just like the example part, except my corners are a little hard there, a little firm. I'm going to fillet those. So a fillet is just kind of a round over. So I'm going to come up here to fillet. And I will make this what's the number here? Fillet of 0.25. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to click the lines. You can see they kind of curve over, orbit around. Those lines, and then green check mark. There we go. Hide the sketch and it'll look even cleaner. That looks just like that example part. That's how you do it.